Whatever you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're going to hurt some people.
Whose car are we going to take?
Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the Nikki Medoro Show. Woohoo! The Democrats did good last night.
Yep.
It was a great day, or night, or whatever, for abortion rights. And I'm really interested in what you guys think about what it actually means. You guys can let me know in the comments. A lot of the analysis that I've been reading about says this is good for Democrats. It's not good for Republicans that are kind of holding on to this anti-abortion rhetoric. But does this help President Biden? A lot of people are saying, yeah, you know, when push comes to shove, when the Republicans are laying out their platform, we Democrats, you know, are coming out in force saying, that's not what we want. Now, is that going to make Biden president? I think it's really going to come down to Kim, who is actually the Republican nominee. I think the GOP is seriously looking at all of this and being like, shoot, what do we do? What do we do when we obviously have a front runner in Donald Trump for some godforsaken reason? And yet he's a very flawed candidate. Mm-hmm. And even the platform, the issues that we think will draw our voters out are losing at the ballot box. They're going to have to either switch gears or understand that they're going to be losing. And it's tough.
I saw a T-shirt as I was looking for around for pictures that represented what happened in Ohio.
Right.
Of a woman wearing a T-shirt, and it said, post-Roe generation votes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, hell yeah.
And women came out last night and voted.
Mm-hmm.
And that should scare the Republicans, because they're trying to tell us what to do with our bodies, and we turned out, women in general, and said, no, thank you.
Yeah. So if you're just waking up and you don't know, a lot of things happened, but the biggest issue was issue 1, which was in Ohio. And issue 1 in Ohio basically enshrined abortion rights. I think Ohio became the 7th state to do this, but was a huge kind of barometer for Republican success on this issue, simply because of how they voted, you know, in the last presidential election. Ohio voters said yes to enshrining the right to an abortion in the state constitution. It basically establishes an individual right to one's own reproductive medical treatment. And I saw this one quote. I want to read it to you. Oh, where was it? And it was basically just talking to people in Ohio. Women, right? I mean, what people that consider themselves Republicans. And basically they said 7 times abortion has been on the ballot across the country. And 7 times voters have turned out overwhelmingly to defend it. Once again, voters sent a clear message to Republicans and anti-abortion extremists. We believe in the right to abortion, and we are the majority. Now, I'm not going to say this as fact, but there is always this small part of me that believes that Republicans never really thought that Roe would be overturned, that they just wanted to use this as a political issue to draw out some people that were really, really extreme on this belief. But the fact that they then got people into the U.S. Supreme Court, states doubled down and were, you know, doing things that were going against Roe v. Wade to bring it all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. And then it happened. And then all of a sudden they were like, shoot, what we were promoting, the restrictions that are now in place are way more than people are willing to accept. They could talk till they're blue in the face about things like late term abortions, which is total BS, right? They could do all of the scare tactics possible. But the truth of the matter is, people don't want the government deciding something as personal as continuing a pregnancy.
That's exactly right. Perry Joe Jim Bob is saying maybe this wasn't a Democratic victory. It was bipartisan.
Yes, absolutely. It was bipartisan. And that's what I was kind of alluding to
And
with the woman. Republican women don't want that either.
If that's true, then it wasn't necessarily a sign of what's to come in 2024. Perhaps that it was a sign specifically of this issue.
I would say this, though. If you're running on an anti-abortion platform, you should be worried. How about that? And there's no Democratic candidate that's running on an anti-abortion platform. But if you have a candidate up there that is specifically laying out, yes, I believe in the 6-week abortion restriction, right? Which is what Ohio had wanted. No, you can't run on that anymore. So then what do you do? So that's what I'm saying. Like, yes, I think that what happened in Ohio was bipartisan. I think you're 100% correct on that. Because I don't care if you have a D or an R or you lean left or right. A lot of people feel very strongly about this. A lot of Republican women have had abortions. You know, like this isn't something that the government should decide. I was, as I was listening, sitting in my car waiting for my daughter in tutoring. So I'm listening to the news and the analysis and following it online. I kept thinking about conversations I have with my conservative friends about this issue, especially my religious conservative friends. And I just wish that they would understand that my point is the government should have no say in it. And what they should, and if you're against abortion or you're pro-life or whatever, then promote the things that would encourage women to keep pregnancies, right? Make it easier for women to make that decision. Now, I'm not saying even if you're rich, right? I want to say, even if you live in the lap of luxury, you should still have the decision of whether or not you want to continue your pregnancy, hands down. But there are so many different situations, an infinite number of situations that people are going through, that there is no way the government should set a firm, fast law dictating what you should do when you find out whether you're pregnant or not. There's just no role of government there. It doesn't make sense. What there is, as far as the role of government, is setting up safety nets, equal pay, right? Free health care, maternity leave, family leave, things that actually make it easier for people to make ends meet, where that decision is the only decision you have to make, not whether or not I can afford it, not whether or not I'm going to lose my job. You know what I mean? Like if you're pro-life, you're actually pro-life, living, breathing, tax-paying human being, make my life easier so that then deciding to continue a pregnancy is only really up to whether or not I want to consider the pregnancy, not if I can continue the pregnancy.
Eric says, look at what happened in Virginia. The GOP was expected to sweep this election, so much so the governor promised new abortion restrictions.
Exactly.
So then they lost the House and the Senate.
Yeah, that's
voters in
hit.
Virginia were like, no thanks. Nope.
Now, again, I know that a lot of Republicans don't want to talk about abortion anymore, right? They don't want to talk, especially, you think Republicans are going to want to talk about abortion after today or after last night? No, they're going to focus on the economy, which I think is valid. I mean, it's the economy, stupid, right? We talk about it all the time. I still think the economy is doing much better since the early days of COVID, right? I mean, we've definitely turned things around, but I bet you dollars to donuts, that A word is going to be really not spoken about as much as it was before, because it's not a winning issue for Republicans.
You know what I think? That Trump doesn't really care about whether or not women have abortions. He doesn't really care about that issue. But his base did. And he said, I'll get into office and I'll put judges into place that'll do what you want to do.
Right.
And he did.
Yeah.
But he doesn't care.
No.
He doesn't care at all.
No. Trump doesn't give two craps about anybody but himself.
No. And so I think if you look at what he did, whether or not Republicans want to talk about it or not, Trump took away my rights. He took away your rights. He took away our choice.
Yep, exactly. And that's what Lori is saying. We must stop
Mm-hmm.
saying abortion and say choice all of the
Mm-hmm.
time. No one is pro-abortion. I've had one and would not say I want a bunch of women having abortions. I'm for women having a choice.
Yeah.
I agree with you, but abortion, though, that word is going to be out there. You know what I mean? And I don't I do agree with you, Lori. I understand what you're saying because it can conjure up so many emotions, and it's not as if I am pro, um, as people and conservatives and the religious right would say, killing babies, which is what they will lead with, right? That's why they have those graphic pictures and all sorts of things. You're right. It is about having the choice. But it's also like an abortion is a medical procedure that has to be done in cases of a woman's life being threatened. The pregnancy is not viable. It is what it is. And it's healthcare. Abortion is healthcare. It is something that sadly some women have to go through and they don't want to, right? And that's what I mean about all the various situations women find themselves in. And there is no role of government in that conversation. There just is not. Sandy says they're losing the women's vote by constantly trying to ban or limit abortion rights. Most women won't vote for those politicians. No. Even if at the dinner table they're like, this, that, and the other, go ahead. It should be up to the individual. Natalie says it doesn't reconcile the belief that innocent babies deserve birth but don't deserve food. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. They're pro-pregnancy, right? They're not pro-life. Because once that baby is born, then you're just a drain, right? You're just a drain on everybody. Oh, you want welfare? You want SNAP? You want, any sort of assistance? Get off the dole. You're just having kids to be on the dole, right? Get them into the system. Get your check. These are the nasty things that the same people that want to take away your choice say once that, God-given baby is born. Now, again, people, when you throw comments like that at them, they say, I want to protect life. You want to kill babies? Nobody's going to say yes to that, right? No one is saying yes to that. What we're saying is it's not the role of government to make that decision. Eric says you can't be pro-life without being pro-education, pro-healthcare, exactly. So, yeah, it was a good night for abortion rights, for choice. It just was. And I hope that it leads us to this issue being brought back before the Supreme Court. I wish it would. That's probably not going to happen anytime soon. But individual states, as what Republicans always said, it should be up to individual states. Well, now it is. Now it is being. And now I hope that what happens in Ohio continues to spread. Maud says, keep women barefoot and pregnant to pump out more kids to work for cheap, aiding billionaires. Yeah, we want that future. Exactly. So, there was a lot of other takeaways. Of course, Democrats are obviously going to be energized by this. Andy Bashir was a big star of the night, winning in Kentucky. He is one of the younger faces of the Democratic Party. Some people are even saying he could be a good person to put as a running mate, right? I mean, you're from Kentucky. You've won. So yeah,
that's a pretty red state,
Yes, I have my sister-in-law lives there, and she is constantly disappointed. But yeah, I mean, it's going to take Democrats winning in deeply red states to hopefully bring back some sanity to politics, right? To where we don't have to be so extreme, if that makes sense, and we can really start understanding what we agree on. I really, truly believe, and as we saw in this last election, that most Americans agreed with Roe v. Wade. Yes, there was a loud minority of people that thought it was the worst thing in the world, right? But as we're seeing play out, and there were restrictions, right? There were restrictions even with Roe v. Wade. But I think most people were like, okay, we can live within those parameters. And Republicans just took it too far. And then Trump ran and the Supreme Court became what it is. And yeah, so now we're just going to have to see what this can do for Biden. A CNN poll released shows Trump leading Biden 49 to 45% among registered voters. But again, it's early. So let's not get too, freaked out all of the time about this. We need to take it one election at a time. But I will say, I think a lot of people are going to have some serious conversations about this. And just one more thing on the Ohio thing, because the Washington Post had this 18 counties that backed Trump in Ohio in 2020 voted in favor of abortion rights. This one registered Republican woman says she discussed issue 1 extensively with her sisters. She said, my whole thing is, I don't like the idea of typically old white men telling me what I should be able to do. They've never been in that position. And that's exactly right. That's exactly right. So yeah, we'll see. CBS News poll conducted before Election Day found 57% of Americans believe abortion should be legal in all or most cases. 57% in all or most cases. That just shows me the government should stay out of it.
Well, what I'm heartened by is that now there's one more state full of women who get to choose for themselves.
Exactly.
And in their neighboring states, when they can, step over those state lines and say, I choose to say I want to keep this pregnancy, or I choose that I don't, or I have this medical thing and I have no choice except for to save my life because I'm already a mother to these other children, whatever. I'm glad that one more state full of women gets that choice.
Exactly. All right, let's do some headlines. We have a lot of things that we're going to get to. Mike Johnson already facing calls to be ousted by none other than Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Oh, Marjorie.
And I'm not saying that this is going to lead to his ouster, but again, we have seen, these minority but extremely loud Republicans getting stuff done. She says, even though Congresswoman Talib, I always pronounce her name wrong. I apologize. The only Palestinian Congresswoman was censured, right, for her comments regarding the Israel-Hamas war. Greene blasted Johnson because he declined. This is what he did. He declined to instruct Republican members to vote for the resolution to censure the Congresswoman. And she says, well, he didn't whip votes for it. He told people to vote their conscience. So he was not supportive of it. And for that reason, and also the fact that any speaker who passed a continuing resolution to fund the government or provide aid to Ukraine should be ousted, she thinks that Mike Johnson should be removed.
Oh, so if it's not her way, it's the highway?
Oh, absolutely.
You
if
didn't
you don't
vote
do exactly
for my thing, then you go?
Well, remember, that's what she did with McCarthy, right? Pulled him aside. I want this, that, and the other. And McCarthy's like, okay. And now look where he's at. So we'll see what happens with Mike Johnson. But after Kim's headlines, there's another weird. I don't know if you heard about this. Mike Johnson has an accountability partner. Have you heard this story?
Yeah, this is good.
So
I can't. We can't talk about this too much. Yes, love it.
Mike Johnson has an accountability partner to make sure that he doesn't watch too much porn. I want to talk this out with you guys because I'm not quite sure how I feel about this. And I'll tell you why, because of an old colleague that both of us had, Kim. We both worked with this person. And it wasn't pornography, but it was kind of. And we had a conversation about it. And I kind of understood where our colleague was coming from.
They did it or they watched it?
I'll explain. I'll explain after your headlines. It's interesting. And is there something wrong with trying to limit your exposure to certain sorts of things, especially if you have religious belief? And we are going to get into the choice. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, for sexiest man alive. I can't wait to hear what Kim thinks about it and what you guys, not the most, breaking news, but it's very, very interesting, the politics surrounding the choice for that. But before we do that, you guys, please click the thumbs up button, show your support for the show. The super chat is also live. I want to say thank you to Harry, who was first with the like
Hey,
and
Harry.
congratulates the GOP on stealing defeat from the jaws of victory. Thank you, Harry, so much for the super chat donation. Doug also came in with a $5 super sticker. Doug,
Thanks,
you
Doug.
rock. Thank you so much. So you guys, we really depend,
nice.
really depend on your guys' donations. So the super chat is live if you want to support us during the show or even during the replay. We appreciate each and every dollar that we get. But the number one way, you guys, please consider it. If you're hemming and hawing about it, please do become a Medorable. Sign up for our monthly Patreon. It's one time a month. If you're already a subscriber, if you can throw a few more dollars our way, we would really appreciate it because we want to keep this show going. So just go to theNikkiMedoroShow.com. The Patreon link is there. Whatever you can afford, $1 a day, $5 a day, whatever you can afford. We don't want to break you, but we really depend on the money. PayPal as well. Just go to paypal.com. and put in the email there after you hit send money, the Nikki Medoro Show @gmail.com. You can buy some merch at the Nikki Medoro shop. And we love all of you. We appreciate you. And thanks for being here. All right. We'll talk about so much after Kim's news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
Okay, let's get right to what's happening in the Middle East. Israeli forces are continuing to push further into Gaza as the war between Israel and Hamas now goes past the 1-month mark. While in Tokyo today, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken reiterated the United States opposes Israel reoccupying Gaza once this war ends. His comments came after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that Israel will have overall security responsibility over Gaza after the end of the war. Meanwhile, top international diplomats continue to call for humanitarian pauses in the fighting so that aid can be delivered to civilians in Gaza. Nearly 12,000 people are said to have been killed in this conflict, if you believe the numbers coming out of both sides. The third GOP presidential debate is set to take place in Miami tonight. 5 candidates who qualified to take part in the debate will be on stage. Meanwhile, former President Trump, the overwhelming favorite according to polls to win the GOP nomination, is once again skipping that debate. Nope, no, I'm not going to come. I don't want to talk to you people. Nope. Americans are waking up this morning with another round of key elections in the rearview mirror. In Kentucky, Democratic Governor Andy Beshear secured the re-election after fending off a challenge from Republican Attorney General Daniel Cameron. In Mississippi, Republican Governor Tate Reeves survived his challenge from Democratic Public Service Commissioner Brandon Presley, who also happens to be the second cousin of Elvis Presley. And Democrats in Virginia appear to have flipped the House from red to blue while maintaining control of the state Senate as well. And, as Nikki mentioned, Ohio became the 24th state to legalize recreational marijuana, and also they supported abortion rights. There's a new effort in California to protect next year's election. An organization just launched CITED, CITED, which stands for the California Institute for Technology and Democracy. It'll guide state lawmakers as they write proposed laws to address the dangers of artificial intelligence, deep fakes, disinformation, and other threatening technologies. CITED includes an advisory group made up of experts in tech, in law policy, and in academics, too. A monument to honor the history of Native Americans is now standing outside the state capitol. It was unveiled in a park yesterday in front of 400 tribal members, dignitaries, and students. One of them, Assemblymember James Ramos, he is the first California Native American elected to the legislature since statehood in 1850. He praised the tribute, called it a long overdue chapter to California's relationship with its tribes. The state of Missouri is suing the Biden administration over what the state attorney general says is the FDA's illegal distribution of abortion pills in the mail. Missouri AG Andrew Bailey's office filed the lawsuit against the FDA and the United States Department of Health and Human Services. The suit argues that the federal government doesn't have the authority to approve using the U.S. mail to ship mifepristone, and asks for an injunction to stop those shipments. Lawsuit also seeks to reverse FDA approval of the generic version of the drug. This again.
I know. I mean, it's as if, again, they They want us to have all of these babies and yet don't want to help people afford said babies. It's freaking nuts.
Gun safety laws save lives. Governor Gavin Newsom sending that message to the Supreme Court yesterday, saying keeping guns out of the hands of domestic abusers, it is consistent with the Second Amendment. He urged justices to uphold a federal law that bans anyone under a domestic violence restraining order from being armed. And we know the data shows that works. A lower court deemed it unconstitutional in the case of a Texas man who attacked his girlfriend. Governor Newsom calls that decision outrageous. Justices heard arguments, and they will have a ruling on this one by July.
Wow.
The actors' strike could soon come to a close.
Please. I keep getting emails about the update. Oh, don't believe anything unless it comes directly from us. Okay, can we just get something that says it's over, please?
Well, according to Deadline, SAG-AFTRA and Motion Picture and Television Studios have reportedly reached an agreement on the use of artificial intelligence. The use of AI to recreate actors' likenesses has been a major topic in negotiations, as well as revenue sharing. The union's lead negotiators and studios met yesterday in what could be the final phase to sealing a new deal and the end to this more than 3-month-long strike. So we'll see how that goes. Speaking of entertainment, lastly, fans of Friends are making the sitcom the most popular show on the streaming services in the United States.
It's everywhere. Every time I turn on my streaming, it's like, there's Friends.
Data compiled by the streaming guide Just Watch showed Friends was the top-ranked show between October 30th and November 5th after the death of star Matthew Perry. The actor died at his Los Angeles area home at the age of 54 on October 28th. The show that originally aired on the NBC streams exclusively on Max. Following his death, the streaming platform added a tribute card for Perry that's shown at the start of each season.
Oh, I know. And it's really, again, it's really sad. You know what I find gross though, Kim, is all the like side stories that are coming out like, oh, so-and-so was in love with Matthew Perry, this, that, and the other. It's just like, let the guy rest in peace, please. And let people that knew him mourn. Like, we don't need, it's just becoming disgusting and I hate it.
Once tabloids figure out, oh, they're interested in this person.
It's so
okay,
gross.
we'll come up with a bunch of stories about this person so you'll click everywhere.
Yeah,
I got
exactly.
it.
It's stupid.
This report is sponsored by you, which means that we do rely on you to support our show. TheNikkiMedoroShow.com. We have a Patreon account and a PayPal account, and it's all right there at TheNikkiMedoroShow.com, where you'll find other good stuff too. I'm Kim McAllister. This is The Nikki Medoro Show.
Thank you. And really quickly, because he's asked before, and I do know how much it costs now. I wanted to kind of set up a thing. If you want a Medorable pin, I do not have a lot. You'll remember I created a Medorable pin for my favorite mystery box that I gave the winner, the first one. Sasha got the very first. So I have some. I'm selling them for $10 a piece because I will have to mail them to you individually because I have them here at my house. So they're all perfectly wrapped. If you haven't seen it, there it is. It's going to be bright. Oh, I have to pull the thing out. So I'm not going to pull the thing out because they're individually wrapped. They're nice and cute. They say the original Medorable, and it has a light that will either stay on, it'll flash, or it'll flash really, really. You can use it as a bike light. It's so bright. Okay, you can put it on your hat. You can put it anywhere you want to. I'll create a thing, but yeah, they're going to be $10. You can, if you want one of these, and there's only, I think I only have like 20 of them. If you want one of them, PayPal me with your address, $10, and I will personally ship it to you. That should cover the pin and the shipping or whatever. So if you want it, you need to PayPal me, say it's for the pin, and I'll put all this together. I'll create a thing that'll go up tomorrow. It's for the pin. Well, so I know, right, that you're not just giving us $10 donations. Say it's for the pin. Make sure you include your address so I can ship it off to you. I don't want to open it up because it has the safety thing because it's an LED light, but it does light up. And if you saw it before, it does light up. So if you want one of the original, and there's only a handful, so these are going to be collector items. I'll design other stuff in the future, but there it is. It says The Nikki Medoro Show, Medorable on it. PayPal me, and again, the email to PayPal is the email for the show. It's very easy to remember. The Nikki Medoro Show @gmail.com. Just go to PayPal.com, hit send money, put that email address in. $10 with your name and your address. I will personally ship these to you. It's different than our other merch shop because they handle everything. They handle the shipping and the orders and everything like that. So that's why it's a little more difficult, but I'll have something easier to read when we join tomorrow on the show.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. And I'll send one to you, Kim. Don't worry about it. Okay.
Thank you.
Because I love you.
I can
All right.
cough up my $10, you know.
Don't even worry. You know what? I got you, girl. I got you. Okay. Let's talk about Pern. Okay. Mike John, I'm gonna lead with this. If you believe in a religion that's like pornography is so wrong, I'm not gonna knock you. Okay. I'm not gonna yuck your yum for your religion. Okay. Like if you don't want to watch porn, if you don't want to be exposed to pornography, that's right. That's fine. That's okay.
Do what you gotta do.
That's fine. Okay. And I learned, so we had a colleague, Kim, who was Mormon. Okay. And he educated me on something that a lot of Mormons, I don't mean to laugh. I'm not laughing. It's just, I instantly thought of like some movies where it's like you'd see the beginning credits and then the end credits. So there's technology and things you could put on your computer. And this wasn't with pornography, but I guess it's kind of the same thing where, or a website you can go to where they edit out of movies. Cause this is what we were talking about with I was talking about with my colleague from movies. So you don't have to watch any of the cuss words, the sex, the whatever you don't want to watch. They take it out of the movie and you can still watch the movie. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Okay. So it you know what? There's a market for something like that, which obviously there is, right? With some religious people. And that's what he would use. And I'm thinking that this is the same thing with Mike Johnson. So
you're not really watching the movie then.
Well, exactly. I mean, but you're exactly. Well, some movies are probably wholesome.
What if it's a movie that every other word is beep, beep, beep?
Well, then
beep,
you're not
beep.
going to watch. That's why I'm saying like you're going to watch the beginning credits,
Yeah.
and then you're going to watch the end credits.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's it, right? So here is Mike Johnson talking about this software called Covenant Eyes. I'm going to show you a little. This is just off Twitter that I found this. And let me know in the comments. I mean, there is a concern with this, but what is your concern? Is it the pornography or is it something else? So here's our speaker.
With Covenant.
Oh, son of a poop. Here
Covenant Eyes within your home. And so why is that such an effective tool? Why do parents need to put this into their home?
Yeah, that's great question. We probably could have called this more appropriately a war on the darkness of technology, because there are some good things with technology, of course. I mean, the Bible apps we all love. We broadcast our services, on our social media, and there's some very positive things, but there's also, as Clint's pointed out aptly, some really dark things. So Covenant Eyes is the software that we've been using a long time in our household. I first learned about it at I think a Promise Keepers event in the early 2000s. I think it was about the year 2000. But it's the largest accountability software that there is, and there's some paperwork out there on the table that I think everybody may have picked up on the way in. If not, go get it. It's a subscription based. I mean, we don't make any money on this. I'm telling you, we use it. Okay, I'm not because I'm a user. It's about $15 a month, $16 a month, something like that. You get up to 10 devices, and what it is accountability software. So men in a church, men's Bible study groups will do it. That's how it's presented at Promise Keepers. But they also mentioned, hey, when your kids become teenagers, especially if you have boys, dads, they're talking to the guys at this event, you might want to think about doing this with your sons. And so we've been doing that. And so what it does real simply is it has an algorithm and software. It's way above my head how it works, but it scans, you obviously opt into it, but it scans all the activity on your phone or your devices, your laptop, tablet, what have you. We do all of it. And then it sends a report to your accountability partner. So my accountability partner right now is Jack, my son, right? And so he's 17. So he and I get a report of all the things that are on our phones or all of our devices once a week. If anything objectionable comes up, your accountability partner gets an immediate notice. I'm proud to tell you my son he's got a clean slate, all right? Yeah. But
What does that conversation sound like? I'm just going to stop it right there because that's long enough. What do you expect, Mike Johnson, your 17-year-old son to do with this information if, in fact, he is alerted to something pornographic on your phone?
My dad's looking at my phone.
Hey, Dad, I saw that you were looking at TNA on, your phone. Nobody's going to do that. No 17-year-old should be the pornography accountability partner for their father. Now, Harry says, don't you think it's great that Dad wants to share his porn with his son? You got to have quality porn. There's a way bigger issue. Yeah, Vilma. That means Mike Johnson, the good old Christian boy, watches porn. Well, I will say this. I think it's more along the lines of, being mindful of the websites and things that you go to. But here's the issue, people. He is a member of Congress. He is the House Speaker. And he has a third-party software scanning everything on his phone. Do we trust this software to have access?
If he's still participating in Covenant Eyes, but yeah, you're totally right.
I mean, that's the concern here. That's my concern. So all electronic devices of the House Speaker, Mike Johnson, are being scanned by a third-party app and then given to a 17-year-old. Like, I feel more concerned about the data that's, being shared or scanned by this app and a 17-year-old has access to than if he's seeing too much TNA on his computer or phone. The security risk of this that is just like over people's heads. Like, wait a minute. You're doing what? And you're who? You're House Speaker Mike Johnson. How about not signing up for a third-party app that scans everything sent to your phone? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Now going back, let's just put that major national security issue to the side. I mean, I don't know. Do you think it's weird? I think it's more weird that it's his 17-year-old son. If I had an accountability partner as an adult, why isn't it his wife? Why wouldn't his wife be his accountability partner?
I think probably because he wants to make sure a 17-year-old son, at a time when the son is, full of hormones, isn't checking the porno. That's why. So it's more of a father being able to check the son. And in doing so, we say, oh, let's check each other.
Yeah, right.
Make sure that all of our, our sins and our desires are being kept in check.
But again, how does that conversation go if it's not?
Spencer says the 17-year-old porn police. That's
You're
right.
like, what are you supposed to do with that information? Do you know how awkward? I've never done this.
Gosh. John is hilarious. I'd worry if my 17-year-old wasn't trying to look at porn. Yeah.
Right? Exactly. But what do you say?
Not that it's being condoned or whatever, but you're right. I mean, you have to expect, as Nikki, you've told me before, they've seen it. Right? They've seen it. Yeah.
Of course they've seen it. And again, I do believe, as we've learned, like from the Duggars and all of these really quote unquote really religious families, when you have to suppress something, then honestly, sex is a natural thing. I don't know why it's so, taboo among some religions. It's a natural, God-given, if you believe in God, thing. But when you have to suppress it, when you can't look at it, when everything is taboo, everything can become a turn on, in my opinion, right? Like you become really freaky deaky kinky because you have no outlet for anything. You're so suppressed.
Lori says she had an evangelical office mate who was a promise keeper, generally a good guy, but used to have discussions, this is fascinating, of why terminating a pregnancy is wrong, but fertility treatments are not wrong.
Ooh, interesting. I have a religious friend who was against both. She thought that, obviously that abortion was wrong or terminating a pregnancy was wrong, but also the whole IVF thing. She was kind of torn about it. She's like, well, it's kind of, you're creating life and what happens to the frozen embryos. And there was this whole thing, you know what I mean? And
it doesn't always work.
Well, exactly.
Right?
And
just
then
because you have IVF doesn't mean you have a baby.
Right.
And so then, is it then God's hand and whether or not it works? Yeah. Who are you to say? Just,
I know.
Throwing that argument out there.
Exactly. Spencer says Mike might be a closet gay. Well, that's doth protest too much about certain things. And doesn't it just makes me curious when people are so firmly against something, it also means they're constantly thinking and focused on it, right? Like if I'm against something, the last thing I want to do is become obsessed with it, right? I want to focus on the things that I am for versus the things that I'm against. So if you're so against pornography that you're getting all these things like to avoid pornography and you're reading about anti-pornography or you're against banned books, so you're just devouring all of these books that you're against, it just seems to me you actually want to be surrounded by all of these things. You're attracting all of these things to you. But yeah, I'm more concerned with the national security aspect of it. I really, really am. And the fact that I think that it's completely unfair for a 17-year-old to be the accountability partner for pornography with his
my
own
God.
father. I think it's weird. I think that it puts him in an awkward, in my opinion, and puts the kid in a very awkward position because, again, if he is literally the accountability partner, not that it's going one way, but it's going both ways, and you see something freaky deaky on your dad's phone, what do you expect a 17-year-old kid to say that's growing up in a household where this is the message that's constantly being pounded into his head? Like, oh, Dad, I saw that you looked at something, and I don't even know what the report would look like. Like, would it describe said act? Would you see the video of said act? It's kind of
Or maybe it's just the website you went to, which could be
I would
interesting.
hope exactly. It's like www.xxxxx. Now the Lady Beatrice says porn objectifies women. No parent should condone it.
Right.
I will agree with you that often it does objectify women, although there is pornography that doesn't have any women in it. Again, it's a personal choice, right? I saw somebody asked a question actually just the other day on one of the Facebook groups that I'm on. And they said, what are your guys' thoughts on pornography or your husband or your partner watching it? And one of the women said it really succinctly. She's like, I have zero problem with it. Watch whatever you want, as long as you don't become addicted to it or it doesn't affect your libido and our like face-to-face relations. And I think, that's a good attitude about it, right? Like if you're okay with it, I'm sure there's like a lot of different like categories for pornography. I think I might get concerned of certain categories, right? Like I wouldn't want you to watch, very violent or things like that. That I'd be concerned if someone I was married to or dating was watching violent pornography, I would have a concern about that. Louis says the guy most likely has 30 burner phones filled with porn. I wouldn't doubt it. I really wouldn't doubt it. Randy says, I've always found religion's fear of sex to be laughable. Absolutely. Yeah. It's so weird. It's so odd. But yeah, it's always the ones that kind of restrict it, that always you find out these little skeletons in the closet of what's going on. And we'll see. We'll see what comes of that. But again, take that third-party app off your phone. I know he wasn't always speaker. And I know that this probably may have started before he was even a lawmaker. I don't know how long he's been in Congress. I'm not up on my Mike Johnson trivia, but I think the minute that you should not have any third-party apps scanning everything you do on your phone.
Right.
Gordon says, if God wanted people to suppress their sex drives, then she should not have given us a sex drive. It's the devil. No, I'm just kidding. No, yeah, you're absolutely right, Gordon. You're absolutely right. Okay, well, let's move on. Oh,
Harry just ordered the Medoro medallion and wants you to send a Medoro mule too.
I can't. No. I mean, come on, people. We'll go to the Red Jack. We'll have another trip to the Red Jack in the future, and we'll all have Medoro mules there. How about that? Although I'm thinking of new things in the new year of ways we can get together either virtually or in person. So that's a coming. I'm brainstorming. But good. Thank you. And again, if you're just joining us, the pin, what did I just do with it? Here it is. It's all wrapped. It has an LED light, so you have to pull the thing out. So I'm not going to open it. $10. PayPal me, and I'll ship it to you personally. Okay, let's move on from porn to the sexiest man alive.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Is it okay to objectify men like this? Yes.
Yes. Did they sign up to be on the cover of People magazine? Yes. There he is, Patrick Dempsey.
Dr. McDreamy.
Now, I did not realize this, although it completely makes sense, that you basically buy this. Buy. Okay. So apparently, this is what I heard on the radio today, is that this is like an ad campaign. He's going to be in this Ferrari movie. And this is what always happens, is that like they have a big movie or they're going to be in a lot of stuff coming up. Mm-hmm. And so you're kind of on the list of people that could be it. Now, I find Patrick Dempsey to be very attractive. I do. Sexiest man alive?
No.
And now, I mean, when he was on Grey's Anatomy, and I know he has this movie coming up, so that's kind of the thinking behind it. What do you think? I mean, if it was not Patrick Dempsey, who do you think in 2023, 2022, 2023, who do you think should be the sexiest man alive? Like, who is just in the news all the time? I was thinking Travis Kelce, right? Like, he's been in there a lot. One person mentioned Bad Bunny, who's a Rican, so I'm kind of biased there, but I'm like, well, he's good looking. I mean, I don't know if he's like the hottest. I'm blanking on his name, but I find him so attractive lately, and maybe just because I've been watching it, and I'm gonna I want to get his name because I shouldn't just. Tom Hiddleston, who
Who's
plays
that?
Loki. Do you know who? Do you know what he looks like? Hold on, I'll bring him up real quickly. I find him very attractive. Hold on, let me bring up his movie poster so that.
Is it Chris Hemsworth who played Thor? He's pretty.
Yes, he's cute. Okay, well then let's just do this because I will say that while Patrick Dempsey is attractive, I do not think that he is the sexiest man alive. But we have had a lot of, I would say, older gentlemen as the sexiest men alive. Okay,
it's not age. I don't think necessarily.
No, it's not.
No,
it's not. But I definitely do think it has to do with whatever job. Do you know who the first sexiest man alive was?
No, John Wayne.
It hasn't been around that long. The first year, okay, I'll give you the year, then you tell me, and don't Google, people, all right? Don't Google. The first sexiest man alive was issued, the inaugural issue was in 1985. So
Tom
19,
Cruise.
No,
What?
it was not Tom Cruise.
That was like prime season for, what was it? Risky Business and All the Right Moves. I guess he would have been pretty young to be the sexiest man alive, huh? In my eyes, at that point, he was.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, 1985, I mean, Johnny Depp, I mean, he was probably
Robert
in his
Redford,
20s.
Paul Newman.
No. Any guesses? Nope. You're naming people that have been named
Pierce
sexiest man
Brosnan.
alive.
Liz says Pierce Brosnan.
No, although Pierce Brosnan has been named sexiest man alive, but he was not the first.
John says Tom Selleck.
Nope. And I don't think that Tom Selleck has ever been named sexiest man alive.
Doug says Hugh Hefner. I don't know.
No, Hugh Hefner has not. Nope.
John Travolta says Nancy.
No, I'm not seeing it.
Burt Reynolds. Randy says
I
Burt
want to
Reynolds.
give hints. Let me see if I can give a hint that's not good. He would definitely be not listed on the sexiest man alive today. He kind of looks a bit grisly today, like Grizzly Adams today. He's a very controversial figure, although he didn't used to be. He didn't used to be. I used to think that he was hot. I used to think he used to have a mullet. Although on the cover of the
Woody
magazine,
Harrelson?
nope. On the cover that he was sexiest man alive. I'm looking at the picture right now. He has short hair. He has blue eyes.
Okay, so we're looking at a white dude.
Oh yeah, there's way more white. Although I will say it's gotten more diverse in
Yeah.
recent years, but definitely there's a lot more white boys than
Nick Nolte. Someone says Nick Nolte.
No, but although Nick Nolte was named as sexiest man alive at one point, but not the first one.
S.J. Lola says Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson is the correct answer.
Oh, Brian says Mel as well. Yeah.
Yes, Mel Gibson. Here we go. This is the cover right there. Mel Gibson, the sexiest man alive, the very first one in 1985.
Before we knew he was crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was Mel Gibson. Okay, I'm going to do some more trivia. There was 1 year where there was not a sexiest man alive.
Oh.
There was a sexiest couple alive. Who was the couple?
The Beckhams?
No, not the Beckhams. Let me see if hold on. I'll find the year. So that'll help you out. Hold on. Okay. It was 1993. 1993. This couple was the sexiest couple alive. They did not do sexiest man alive. It was not Brangelina because this was 1993. Brangelina did not exist then.
Was it Brad and Jennifer Aniston?
Nope. It was not Brad and Jennifer. Let me read. Okay, so let's see. I'm looking at the cover. Let's see. I'm trying to read like the other thing. Michael's farewell. Michael Jordan's farewell picture was in the corner of this magazine. No. Not
Madonna
Patrick
and Sean
Swayze.
Penn?
Nope. Nope, not Madonna's. Although that's a good guess. 1993. And another piece of trivia, they broke up a year after they were put as sexiest.
Not so sexy after all.
It's not Bruce and Demi. It's not them. It's not Newsom and Kimberly Guilfoyle.
Oh my God.
Nope, not Goldie and Kurt. Nope. Although that's a good guess too. All right, you guys ready for it? Let me show
Mhm.
you the screen. Hold on. And I totally remember this time. They really were everywhere. Richard Gere and Cindy Crawford.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they were the sexiest couple alive.
Wow. Whose
You know,
idea was that to have the sexiest couple?
I
It
think
was a
that
1-year thing, and somebody
well,
was like, "You're
they were
fired."
together a while.
Mhm.
They were together a while. Yeah, so it says, in spite of their careers as supermodel and superstar, the twosome, who split a year later, were a laid-back duo. Cindy said, Richard loves me without my makeup and in a ponytail. So, hey, if it's good enough for him, it's good enough for me. Let's see. So there's been a couple of people that have been on there more than once. Let's see. So the second year, it was Mark Harmon from St. Elsewhere. Then Harry Hamlin, who I do not find to be very attractive. Let me share. I'll go down this list for you. And I'll show it on my screen because I was just so curious on all the past ones. And don't worry, my man, my Matthew, my kind of hottie, is on there. So here is the second one, Mark Harmon. I always remember him. You know what movie I remember him most from? I don't know if you guys ever saw it. Summer School. Anyone seen that movie?
I love that movie.
I
Yes.
loved that movie. That's what I think of with Mark Harmon. I thought
I sat about 4 seats back from him on an airplane once.
Really?
And I kept looking at him thinking, who is that? I know that face.
Yeah.
And then afterward, I searched when we landed on my phone. I'm like, oh, it's Mark Harmon. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Then Harry Hamlin. I don't know. It's like, okay. I think it was just, he was in LA Law. I think that was just, again, this is something where they promote, hot shows and movies coming up and things like that. Who's next?
You really burst my
JFK
bubble.
Jr. Rest in peace, JFK Jr. He was 1998. There's Sean Connery in 1989. Older, bolder, and better. Here's one leading man who doesn't need to fake it. So there you go. Michael Jordan, because they always have runners up, and you can't see it because it's down there.
Well,
but
now they have like the 20 or 30. I don't know how many. The
yeah.
whole issue is like,
it's all full of it. They did here too. The sexiest big guy was John Goodman. The sexiest athlete was Michael Jordan. And the sexiest hunk was Ken Wall, who I don't know who that is. Here's Tom Cruise. This is the first time Tom Cruise is in it in 1990.
Yeah.
This is right. This is when Days of Thunder was coming out.
Also before we knew he was crazy.
Exactly. Patrick Swayze. Now, my mom loved this one. Look at Luke Perry in the top corner. 1991. Love Luke Perry. Ugh. But see, Luke Perry was my heartthrob when I was growing up because 90210. Patrick Swayze was my mom's. Here's Nick Nolte's.
That's a good picture of him.
It's a very good, again, before he
was crazy.
was crazy.
What happened? A lot of these guys went bloop, bloop.
Well, I think Nick Nolte had like an alcohol or drug problem too. So, and then here it is with the sexiest couple alive. Let's see. And here's Brad Pitt. The first time. So this has to be like The River Runs Through It. Oh, Interview with the Vampire. Legends of the Fall, I mean. Yeah. Legends of the Fall and Interview with the Vampire. Yeah, he has that whole sultry look.
You can't deny that he's a really
Brad
good-looking
Pitt's
man.
Hot.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me right now? Although I still say one of the hottest roles he ever was in was definitely Fight Club. Oh, God, he was gorgeous. Denzel. Love Denzel. 1996.
Yeah.
So first black person on Sexiest Man Alive. He says he's not just another pretty face. And this is for Courage Under Fire co-star Regina Taylor says he has wit, style, and intelligence. I still think Denzel Washington's cute. He's a very attractive man. There's George Clooney, another person that's been Sexiest Man Alive more than once. And this was 1997. Some other people, Brad Pitt, Will Smith's on there, Tom Cruise, Harrison Ford, Drew Carey. I'm assuming sexiest funny guy alive. Here's Harrison Ford. He makes it the next day. And then there's Leonardo DiCaprio on there, Antonio Banderas. Richard Gere gets the cover by himself. It's a double issue. Let's see. Who else? There's another one for Brad Pitt. See, and that's cute.
He looks so young. Wow.
He looks really young. This is when he was with wife Jennifer Aniston, they mention in the article. How funny is that? Look at that. Pierce Brosnan. There you go. Right there. He's okay. I don't know. He has that, obviously, British Right? He's
I
from...
always thought he was really good looking.
Really?
Yeah, like perfect looking. Too perfect for me, but like perfect looking. Very upper crust, obviously British.
Yeah.
The guy who looks perfect in a suit or a turtleneck, like he looks like James Bond. Just
Yes, he
very
does.
up. He has a very upscale look to him.
Right. And Sean Connery did too. I will say they both kind of had that look. Ben Affleck, what his mom thinks of J-Lo. So think about how full circle this has come, right?
Yeah.
So he was sexy. And I think Ben Affleck's attractive. Was really, really attractive when he was younger. That was in 2002. Here's Johnny Depp.
Who's
So this
cuter,
was...
Ben Affleck or Matt Damon?
Ooh, good question. Different look. Ooh, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
Who's cuter? Ben Affleck. I don't know. Matt Damon is shorter, and I have a thing for shorter guys.
He's funnier too, which plays into it for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I can see like that, like Ben Affleck has that sultry thing. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. They're both cute.
Ben Affleck is more broody,
Yeah.
but he's damaged and he always will be damaged.
And he has that jaw thing going.
You can't fix me. Yeah.
Here's Johnny Depp, who I always think that Johnny Depp is gorgeous. I really
Before
do.
we knew he was crazy.
Before we knew he was crazy. That was 2003. Oh, here we go. Jude Law. I think Jude Law is attractive. I mean, he's not my first choice, but not bad. And then here we go,
Here's
baby.
your guy. Yeah.
2005, sexiest man alive. My kind of hottie, Matthew McConaughey. There you go. Ugh, so gorge. There's George Clooney again. Now he's getting the salt and pepper hair. So that's 2006. There's Matt Damon. So I'm sure that Ben Affleck teased him that he was first. Yeah, they're both cute. They're definitely both cute.
Yeah.
Now Hugh Jackman. Do you find him attractive?
I do. And I don't know if it's his specifically because of his looks, but also because he's just multi-talented.
Yeah.
The guy can sing and
act,
dance and
yeah.
act. And have you met him? Because he came to KGO once, and every single woman in that newsroom was swooning. Oh my God. I think I was the only one not in the picture because I wasn't like, I wasn't going to throw myself.
Cool.
Yeah,
You're trying to play it cool.
I was.
Don't play it cool when you can get a picture with somebody.
But he was nice, like really kind, and took the time to, talk to everybody. He was really cool.
Yeah. All right. So Hugh Jackman, he's like the theater kid that made good, right? It's just like, he's so good. Okay. We're going to get quickly through the rest of these. There's another one, Johnny Depp on it again. Ryan Reynolds. So Ryan Reynolds, and he'll come later on, Bradley Cooper. Two people I didn't initially find attractive. I was like, oh, really? But they grew on me. I think Ryan Reynolds' sense of humor is what makes him the most attractive.
Right.
And then Bradley Cooper comes. And I didn't find him that attractive at first, but he's grown on me a little bit.
He's pretty good looking.
Yeah, he's okay. Channing Tatum. Oh, yes,
Mega
definitely.
babe.
Mega babe. Absolutely. Adam Levine, he's okay. It's not traditionally attractive, you know what I mean? But he's all right. I mean, I could see the appeal.
He's cute.
There's Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
Thor. Yeah, he's really cute.
He deserved to be on there.
There's David Beckham, somebody had mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
A lot of tattoos, but he's very attractive. The Rock. Do you find The Rock to be really sexy?
He's a big, strong, strapping fella.
Yeah.
I don't
He's
know. Not unattractive, but he's not like, oh,
he's not at the top of my list.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Blake
Rock.
Shelton? What do you think about Blake Shelton?
Meh.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, he's okay. He's not unattractive.
Yeah.
Sexiest man alive. I mean, these are three words that mean something.
I mean, I love Us, but we're being kind of mean to them right now. We're like,
No, we're not.
Evaluating
it's
them
called
on their
sexiest man alive.
Like if
It
we
is
were
called-
evaluated on our appearance
I'm
and
not
only
saying
that,
I'm the sexiest woman alive.
I'm saying it's
The
not
whole
very
thing is
kind.
objectifying.
Oh, Idris Elba. Hello.
Oh God, the hands down. Older gentleman, hot, and when he speaks, he becomes even hotter. That accent, he is so attractive. John Legend, sexy. I guess our definition of sexy is just in the eye of the beholder, obviously. Now, Michael B. Jordan, very attractive man. Definitely younger too. So I find him attractive. Paul Rudd, Funny. I don't know about sexy. I mean, sexy is different. I don't know. Sexy.
Right now, he's agreeing with you. He's like, I don't know why I was on there.
Exactly. He's like, okay. He doesn't age, that's for sure. Now, Chris Evans, yes, very attractive gentleman. I find Chris Evans to be very, very cute. And then now Patrick Dempsey, who I feel like we just went old school. I mean, McDreamy was a long, long time ago.
Yeah. You kind of burst my bubble with the whole they pay for it thing. You know?
Yeah,
like,
you have to understand that any of these lists, there is an advertising component to it. I mean, it's not coming out of left field over here. No, Jason Momoa. Did you see him? I went through the whole list, people. Yeah. Jason Momoa has not been. Now, I'm going to say this.
That's a
they could be mentioned inside the
be.
magazine. No, I'm sure Jason Momoa has been inside the Sexiest Man issue, but has not gotten the cover.
This conversation is so superficial. It's great.
But you can't talk about the Sexiest Man alive without being superficial. I don't feel bad doing this. Now, again, it's called the Sexiest Man alive. I feel no qualms about this because they allow themselves to be on there. You look at it and you're able to judge. None of the people that I showed up there are unattractive. They're just not my cup of tea necessarily. Hula Steph says, old white lady here votes for Wheel of Time's hunk, Daniel Henney. I got to look him up. I don't know who Daniel Henney is. Do you know who he is?
No, but while you're looking it up, I'll read the rest. For hunks of my generation, Denzel Washington is still my heartthrob and a fantastic actor too. And Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Bridges. Interesting. I mean, he had his moment. Okay, here he is. This is Daniel Henney. He's kind of cute. I don't know him at all. I don't know who he. I don't watch
the Wheel of Time, huh?
I didn't see the Wheel of Time. Unless he was in Big Hero 6, but obviously that was a cartoon. Yeah, I mean, he's attractive. I will definitely say he is attractive. Okay. Anybody else that you think has been denied? Chris says Dempsey and Beckham are the only ones who exude sexiness. How dare you? How dare you? Matthew McConaughey is sexiness, and I know I'm totally biased. Sexy men will bake you cookies. My husband is hella sexy then. There you go. Yeah, it's such a weird list, but it is. I'm sorry to pop the bubble for you, Kim, but yeah, it's very much an advertising list, just like everything else. Anything you see from food to appliances to all those lists, especially now that it's the holiday season, you're going to get 25 gifts that'll just make your teen so happy. It's an advertising thing. Come on now. Love Ryan Reynolds. Very sexy. Love his personality. Ryan Reynolds' personality makes him sexier. There are some people that don't need to speak and are sexy. I think Ryan Reynolds, he's attractive, but sexiest. That's a really loaded word. Depp has always looked strung out to me. Okay, thanks, Mama. 3 boys.
What sexy men unload the dishwasher? Agree. Yeah. What makes somebody sexy to you, though?
Okay, like physically or just in the whole package? Like
what makes you sexy as opposed to just good looking?
I mean, it's a package deal. I mean, it's all of it, right? So let's go back to comparing Ben Affleck to Matt Damon. Both, there's no argument. They're both attractive men. But I would say, like, if we're going to break it down by the physical, some people like them taller, some people like them shorter, right? The chin, like, I love a good, strong chin. And not the pointy part, but like the chisel part over here. You know what I mean? Like that. Hair matters. I will definitely think that hair, like what you do with your hair matters. I don't know. They're just also different. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard for me to decide. It's like pornography. You know it when you see it. Marty Feldman, hands down. I don't know if that's a joke. I don't know who Marty Feldman is.
I think it might be a joke. I don't know who that is either. I don't get the joke.
Oh, yeah. It's the guy with the eyeballs that go 2 different directions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a joke.
What about Fabio? No.
You know what I will also say? I am not into, even though I showed you Brad Pitt and he had the kind of long hair for Interview with a Vampire. I'm not that into long hair. Like the whole Fabio cover thing. That is not something that I'm like, oh, yeah. Now, I mean, and I'm talking long hair. If it's just long, like to the neck, that's fine. But like long hair, oh, it's not my cup of tea. I'm not knocking it, but it's just not my cup of tea.
Although when you flashed that picture of Brad Pitt
I
with
know it
his
wasn't
long
bad.
Legends of the Fall hair, I was like, well,
But the other picture when he was on it
pretty
again with the
good.
shorter hair, right?
Yeah,
Where he was in like Fight Club and Snatch and things like that. Ugh. Way hotter. I'm sorry. Like that kind of disheveled, gelled. Ugh. You know who else was hot? Edward Norton. I find very attractive. Or back in the day, I did. I found him. I found him very attractive.
Yeah, no.
David Lee Roth. No. Okay. All right. We're done. Thanks for indulging me in the sexiest man alive. But Patrick Dempsey, congratulations. He said that he was always the bridesmaid, never the bride. And so he's very, very happy that he actually made the list, which congratulations, my friend. Okay. Let's move on closer to home. Did you see the announcement that apparently the doom loop threat of San Francisco is maybe waning because they announced yesterday that the Dreamforce conference is coming back to San Francisco, even though there was a worry that it would not because of the homeless and the drug issues and everything like that.
Yeah.
Mayor Breed and Mark Benioff with Salesforce announced yesterday the tech conference will remain in San Francisco.
I guess they did a good enough job of sweeping the homeless out of the street, like,
we
clearing the homeless out of this
the problem.
4-block range. That's good. Good job, San Francisco.
Now, APEC is next week. If you do not need to be in San Francisco next week, don't go. Like, it's going to be insane. The amount of streets and security, it's going to impact freeways. It's going to be an S show. So here's your warning. Don't go to San Francisco next week if you don't have to. Work from home. They're saying, I was listening to the traffic report on KTVU this morning, and they're like, it's really, really busy right now. And we think it's because a lot of people are like, I'll come to work this week, but next week I'm not. Like, I'm just not going to do it.
Well, it makes perfect sense. I mean, you can't move around in a city. If you work anywhere in that vicinity, in the south of Market, it's going to be a mess. And employers have to understand that. I mean, it's not forever. It's just for this APEC.
It's a week. I think it starts Saturday. I think it was Saturday to Saturday or something like that. But yeah, and a lot of people are saying, well, where else would it go? A lot of other places it could obviously go. But let's see. NBC Bay Area said they're also committing to the NBA All-Star Game in 2025. The Super Bowl and World Cup soccer is coming to the Bay Area in 2026. So do you think that this is a good sign of we're going to start addressing the problems? Or do you think it's going to be obviously what they did for the current Dreamforce, which is move it along, homeless people, sweep the sidewalks, hose everything down, get rid of the smell? Because it's not as if we solved the problem. We're just kind of putting kind of lipstick on a pig.
If you see anybody that's homeless in that area, it's Secret Service undercover.
Right. Exactly. Maybe. Yeah, exactly.
They're like, we're going to pretend we're homeless. Just make sure the streets are safe.
Yeah. So they've already scheduled September 17th and 19th next year is the 2024 Dreamforce. Like I mentioned, the All-Star Game, Super Bowl, World Cup, all coming to the Bay Area. I am optimistic. I will say this. I am optimistic that we are hopefully getting things together and maybe turning the corner on, especially when we're just focused on San Francisco, of getting things done because we need to,
Oh, bad timing, Justin. My brother is getting married next Wednesday at San Francisco City Hall. We all got to commute into the city. Oh, man.
I mean, because that whole area is going to be impacted as well, man. Like, San Francisco City Hall, I think is like in the middle of it, right? Like it's nearby at least, because it's not just where the conference is. The security parameters because of who's coming to this conference is huge. So I would definitely, honestly, I know that you can't move it, I guess, but I mean, it's just City Hall. Why can't you go to a different City Hall? Oh, take Bart and take pictures. If like the bride and the groom were on Bart, that would be really, really cute. But yeah, it's going to be an S show. Bart will be packed with people too. So it's not as if, hopefully they're running extra trains. Justin says, my mom and old people trying to navigate that situation. Pray for us. He booked most of it all a year ago and paid for it all. Jesus.
No, he's like, great.
I mean,
It's all right.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. The conference is at Moscone Center. It's a ways away, but not that. Again, San Francisco is not that big. Just because something's at Moscone Center and City Hall is maybe a mile or two away, it's still, I don't know. I have to look at, and I apologize. I used to have the map on as a picture and I got rid of it. I apologize. But yeah, it's definitely something you should look into. And not even if the security isn't around City Hall, the traffic, because people can't drive in there, is going to be insane. So maybe.
Yeah. And it will be raining. Yes.
Oh, and it's going to be raining. Oh no.
What a mess.
Justin, it's going to be a mess. We'll keep us posted. I'm here all next week. Like Casey has let me know that I don't have any shifts next week, and I'd never been happier. Like I was like, thank the Lord, because getting out of there, it's going to be insane. Absolutely insane. Yeah, I know. City Hall is not that close to Moscone, but San Francisco is small. And again, it's the traffic. It's the traffic that's going to be pushed to all of those outer areas. So just keep that in mind. It's going to be difficult to get around San Francisco tomorrow. Let's go to the other side of the bay. Did you see? Now, you guys tell me, is it like sad or are you really happy to see what happened yesterday? Here we go. Yesterday, at Oakland, fans were crowding around, rallying to let their voices know that they were wanting to keep the A's in Oakland. It's not going to happen, right? I mean,
No,
it's
the
just,
owner doesn't care what the fans want.
he doesn't care.
No.
You know what? The only thing that I hold out hope for is obviously all the other owners have to vote on it. I have heard and read no hint that the owners are not going to vote for the move. I have heard arguments why they shouldn't, the kind of precedent that it sets. That one argument was Vegas shouldn't have a team relocate. They should just expand a team there. They should get their own team there, but they shouldn't take a team from like the city of Oakland. But I feel like it's just so, honestly, I'm just going to use the word sad. I feel like all these people are putting so much effort into it. Now, obviously, this is just a resolution affirming that the A's belong in Oakland. Okay. It doesn't do anything. There's a Nevada group opposed to the proposed A's ballpark. They have to write up a new ballot initiative or appeal to the Nevada Supreme Court. So we'll see. The Nevada Teachers Union wants voters to approve or reject the state giving $380 million to finance the ballpark. Baseball owners are meeting next week, but they are expected to approve the A's moving to Las Vegas. Spencer says the Oakland A's fans are getting screwed by this owner and the city. I mean, the city, again, I would say it's more the owner. John Fisher, I would say it's him. You know what I mean? Yeah, the A's, they're leaving. I don't see all of the owners voting against it, but God, wouldn't that be awesome? Wouldn't it be amazing if they did?
They won't.
They won't though. I mean, and again, I think that this is all not for show, but
because they
just to
see
make
it as a business.
Yeah.
They don't see it as, they bank on people's passion for the team and support for the team. But when it comes down to the wire, for them, it's not about the passion. It's about business. How are we going to make the most money?
Yeah.
How is it most profitable to us? And that's why they'll all vote for it.
Yeah, Doug says we have a room for a stadium in San Jose. It's just a hop, skip, and a jump from Oakland. Oh, that argument died. Mm-hmm. Remember, territorial rights to San Jose are with the Giants. Believe me, I thought that was always a good idea. I kept really close eye on it because I live in San Jose. Well, that was never going to happen, and it sure as hell is not going to happen now. I just wish that Oakland was able to keep the team. I really do. I really wanted to see the Howard Terminal happen. I really think that, John. If you think of the A's as like a neighborhood, right? He was like the slumlord of the neighborhood, where he made the team so bad by not investing in it, by not paying his good players, by letting good players leave, all that sort of stuff, that, no one was going to turn out. No one was buying the tickets until the end, when they wanted to really keep the team. It just,
he's like the cumulus of baseball teams.
oh God. Yeah, exactly. And so it really sucks. It really does. John Fisher doesn't give a crap. He talked out both sides of his mouth, and he never wanted to keep the A's in Oakland. He always wanted to go to Vegas, and now it's going to be happening. Jennifer Field says the WNBA is going to San Francisco. They passed on Oakland too. You know what? I know that's, and it sucks to be, compared to San Francisco all the time, right? San Francisco, the city by the bay, Oakland's in the East Bay. Although I will say Oakland has better weather. I really do. And they were, up and coming, and they still are in many ways. It's not cheap to live in Oakland by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, it just seems either teams and people are moving to San Francisco or they're just leaving the Bay altogether. Louise says, sorry, Oakland just didn't support the A's. Went to see Pearl Jam at Oracle. 18,000 sold out versus the A's the same night, 4,000 in attendance. A puppet show on a Wednesday draws a bigger crowd. Yeah. Well, also because the team, right? If you had a winning team and you invested in the team and you invested in fixing up the stadium and it wasn't, flooding and rats and all kinds of crap, people don't want to go to that. They don't want to do and spend money to go out there to do that. That's just not going to happen.
Though, that people go see a Giants game because they want to go to the city, to the ballpark.
Right.
It's a fun experience. Even if the Giants are winning, it's like you still have the experience of going to, what is it? Oh, God, Oracle Park now?
Yeah, it's Oracle Park now.
And so you see how long I've been there.
Exactly. It was AT&T Park last time I went there.
But yeah, it's a different experience. And so people want the experience even if the Giants aren't winning.
Yeah.
It's, but am I going to drive over to Oakland to a parking lot that probably not.
I know. And they did have a pretty good turnout. Here's a picture of the turnout that they had last night. Baseball owners to keep the A's in Oakland. I don't doubt, the passion of the fans to want to keep the team, right? Mm-hmm. But there has to be an investment. There has to be a financial investment. Just like you said, Kim, I'm not a huge baseball fan. I'm not a baseball fan at all. I mean, I'll go to a game and I'll have fun, but I go for the experience. And if the experience sucks, the bathrooms are flooding, or if there's half the vendors, right? If it's not a good experience, why the hell am I going to do it? Even and the ticket prices kept going up. Remember, It was like, wait a minute, you're going to charge me for less of an experience with a team that's not winning? No one's going to do that. And so it makes sense. And John Fisher knew what he was doing, and then the fans got screwed. They really, really did, and it sucks. Brian, first the Raiders, now the A's. Can we make it a triple and send the homeless to Vegas next? They're probably gonna come. That's true.
Yeah, remember that? I'm sorry, we clicked on the same thing at the same time. Didn't people have sex in the A's stadium last year? It was so empty in this section that people just decided, oh well, there's nobody else here, so I guess we can
going to town. Like, I don't understand people that can do it like that in public. I get the I guess the excitement of it, but to actually have sex,
I mean,
no.
There's TV cameras everywhere. It is a good baseball game. Yeah.
I mean, it's awful. And then obviously getting caught, and that's humiliating. But yeah, no.
Maybe not for some people. Maybe some people are like, woohoo, I got caught.
Spencer's like, yes, it was that boring of a game. Like, I'm bored. What do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? You want to go have sex in the bleachers up there? Fine. That's fine. All right. So, fingers crossed. I will say this, though, talking about the Doom Loop and Oakland, it does seem that San Francisco is, despite all the terrible headlines, able to attract the things that matter, right? Mm-hmm. They still are getting Dreamforce back. They're, obviously the World Cup and the Super Bowl are not going to technically be in San Francisco, of course. But, they're going to get the All-Star game, and that's going to be a who's who when that happens, right? So they're still going to get a lot of attention. While in the meantime, Oakland, which Oakland is closer to Santa Clara, but we'll get none of the headlines, right? It's not as if they get any sort of the residual type of good press that San Francisco will get, even if the event isn't actually held there. And that's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. Okay, let's do some headlines.
Okay.
When we come back, we'll lighten things up just a bit. We'll talk a little bit about Robert De Niro's case and what it means to be an assistant. And then if we have time, we'll touch on gender disappointment. In this age of pronouns and gender reveal parties, is it okay to be disappointed in what you get? Or is it just totally selfish?
God, you're lucky you get a healthy baby. Seriously.
Exactly. Are you just being selfish? All right, we'll do all that after Kim's news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
Well, a report in the United States, or says the United States and Israel, are discussing a 3-day pause in the war against Hamas. NBC News saying Qatar is also involved in the discussions that would allow for more humanitarian aid into Gaza and perhaps the release of some hostages held by Hamas. Qatar reportedly acting as an intermediary in this situation.
It's just a mess, and you just want the innocent people to get out, especially all the children. It's just... I was actually talking to Chip Franklin yesterday and we were touching on it. And I was saying, obviously we follow it in the news and we're following it all, but it's just a tragedy that just continues to unfold and unfold. And what's really sad is when you realize that there's not a degree of separation between what's happening over there and people that here in the United States. And it's just tragic.
Do you remember Turi Ryder? She used to work as a fill and talk show host at KGO a long time ago. And I was talking to her yesterday on the Mark Thompson show, and she said as to what she says to listeners about this whole thing. She said, you're not going to change anyone's mind.
No, exactly.
And so for that reason, it might not be necessarily worth talking about because everyone thinks what they're going to think. And the only thing you're doing by talking about it is kind of making distance between people.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And again, I think what we can all agree on is that the innocent lives that are being lost because of it is something that we can all be against. That's it,
Tonight's presidential GOP debate will not only be without former President Trump, but will also be missing 3 previous participants. Gone will be former Vice President Mike Pence, who withdrew from the race, North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum, and former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson did qualify for the debate. The 5 candidates in tonight's debate from Miami will be former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, and tech entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy, and South Carolina Senator Tim Scott. That's who we'll see tonight.
I mean, again, I'll be completely honest. I'll get the recap probably overnight and I'm not even going to spend
my time.
Well, I mean, it matters. So what do I have to do? I'm just gonna be completely honest. It always matters where I'm stuck. Because, then I'm on mom duty, tutoring, shuffling kids back and forth. So if I can sit and park somewhere, I will listen to something, right? Or watch something on my phone. But if I'm inside something, I have a school meeting this evening that starts at 7:00. So not really going to be, what time does the debate start? I'm assuming 5, 6 o'clock.
Yeah, I think
something like that.
I don't know.
We'll
That's
see.
how important it is to me, but
Exactly.
I'll watch it.
I mean, I definitely watch the recap and I want to, see if there's anything, of substance. If anybody turns away from Trump, if anybody says something about Roe v. Wade or what happened in Ohio and things like that, I'll be interested to see if they're changing their tune. Absolutely.
Ivanka Trump is taking the witness stand in New York City today after a panel denied her motion last week that testifying in the middle of a school week would cause undue hardship. Can you imagine?
Oh, God. I just love rich people.
The weekdays are bad for me.
Yeah.
I'm a mom.
Yeah,
right. Ivanka is testifying in her father's New York civil fraud trial 1 week after her 2 brothers testified. I would argue they're defendants as well. And 2 days after the former president was on the stand, Donald Trump accused, of course, of inflating his net worth so the Trump organization could get more favorable loans.
Exactly. I mean, do we know how long this case is supposed to drag out for? How many more people are supposed to testify?
I don't know the answer to that.
I want something to happen. You know what I mean? Like, can we just be done with this and just throw him in the slammer or make him pay? I don't even know what the punishment's going to be.
An entire fleet of robo-taxis is being recalled from multiple cities after a number of accidents. Cruise, which is a subsidiary of General Motors, issued the recall for 950 driverless vehicles operating in San Francisco, in Austin, and Houston, and Phoenix. A Cruise vehicle reportedly came to a stop on top of a pedestrian that was hit by a human driver and then dragged that pedestrian 20 feet. That one happened in San Francisco.
Yeah, that one happened in San Francisco. That was just awful.
A more than 50-year tradition of giant pandas living in the United States may be coming to an end.
Oh.
3 pandas at the National Zoo in Washington, D.C. are on their way back to China. The only pandas in the United States now are in the Atlanta Zoo, and they have 4 pandas there that might also go back to China when the zoo's contract expires next year. And that will be the end of our pandas, because they're all on gift and loan from China. So.
Well, I mean, again, I have mixed feelings about animals in captivity, right? I mean, if it's to help them because they need to stay there and we're rehabilitating them or something like that, okay. If it's a whale that's in a pool for all its life, no, I don't like that. That makes me sad.
And as you mentioned earlier, the actor who once played a high school student that paid a classmate $1,000 to date him,
I mean, love
is people's sexiest man alive for 2023. Patrick Dempsey, who is known for his role as Derek McDreamy Shepherd on the hit show Grey's Anatomy, starred in the 1987 movie Can't Buy Me Love. The 57-year-old actor says he'll use this honor to help promote the Dempsey Center, which is an organization he founded in honor of his late mother to help cancer patients and their families. And we saw that, I learned of it first when the mass shooting happened in Maine, because that's where he's from.
Oh, okay.
That's one of the cities. Lewiston is one of the cities where that cancer foundation operates. Yeah.
I mean, now that you reminded me of that, Can't Buy Me Love was such a good movie. I loved that movie. I must have watched that movie so many times when the wine gets spilled on the leather outfit that she stole from her mom. I mean, who hasn't been stuck in that kind of situation, right?
In 2022, a new law in California banned the sale of flavored tobacco products. Well, today, online sales of these products are booming.
Oh.
The law was intended to reverse a trend of children buying e-cigarettes and other products with kid-friendly flavors. Researchers at UC San Diego found online shopping for e-cigarettes and vaping products increased significantly in the weeks after that new law went into effect. Can't buy them here? No problem. Mail order. Done.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Online shopping inquiries for cigarettes were up 194% and 162% for vaping products. The researchers recommend California's law be amended to include e-commerce websites as well as retailers.
Interesting. So. Yeah, I mean, that does make sense. And it doesn't seem like it'd be that hard to stop. You can't. I mean, of course you can get around it. You could ship it to somebody else that could ship it, you know what I mean? That sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it's more of a pain in the butt. And so when things become a hassle, it will naturally reduce the number of people that will be able to access it. So
are you one of these people that pays attention to the Met Gala and all the fancy dresses and everything?
I mean, if I'm on like social media and I'm seeing all the pictures, yes.
Yeah.
Am I obsessed with it? No.
Well, the theme for the next year's Met Gala is now being announced, because we all care so much. The theme for the May 6th star-studded event is Sleeping Beauty's Reawakening Fashion, which will highlight historically significant outfits that are too fragile to be worn again. The hosts for the event have yet to be announced. Last year's Dua Lipa, Penelope Cruz, Michaela Cole, and Roger Federer served as co-hosts. So I don't know.
So, okay, hold on. So they want people to wear outfits that are too delicate to wear?
No, I don't think so. It will highlight historically significant outfits that are too fragile to be worn again.
Oh, so like a dupe kind of thing.
We'll see those outfits probably in big glass cases, but as far as what the stars will be wearing, it'll be replicas or inspired by historical outfits or Sleeping Beauty's ball gown, whatever.
Well, you remember, I don't know if you remember, but Kim Kardashian wore Marilyn Monroe's dress and people were pissed because like the gems were falling off, and I guess she did something to the dress, and people were very upset. So don't make that mistake again. Keep, the treasured items away. And
What
if you want to
dress
make a
was
replica,
that?
make a replica.
It wasn't the white dress where she's standing over the
No,
grate.
no. I think it was the one. Was it the one that she sang "Happy Birthday" to JFK? I think it was the one that she sang. It's all sparkly and skin tight. I think it was that one. But yeah, I guess people were so upset that she was wearing it because she does not have the same body.
No,
even though Marilyn
totally
Monroe
different
wasn't skinny,
measurements.
but yeah,
No.
like especially around the booty and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So yeah,
Yeah, no, that's going to damage that dress.
yeah.
Well, this report is sponsored by you, which means we do rely on you to help fund the Nikki Medoro Show. TheNikkiMedoroShow.com is the website, and that's where the Patreon and the PayPal link are located. So thank you for checking it out. Thank you for considering supporting this show. And thanks for being here as well. I'm Kim McAllister on the Nikki Medoro Show.
There you go. And another reminder, if you want one of the few Medorable pins that I will personally, here they are. And I mean, like, here's my palm. It's a pretty significant button. It lights up. It has 3 different options: solid light, blinking light, and a fast blinking light. If you could literally, it's so bright. It's so bright. If you want it, it's $10. And I will ship it to you personally. If you want one of these buttons, and I don't have very many, you have to PayPal me. Make sure it says it's for the pin. Make sure you include your address. And you can PayPal me at this address. Just go to paypal.com, hit send money. The email address is thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com. And you will get one of the very few original Medorable pins. And I appreciate everybody's support. Okay. So the Robert De Niro, we have not talked about the Robert De Niro case. He's 80 years old. He's being sued by his ex-assistant. It's hit apparently a threatening stage. The former assistant claims that she received a text calling her a disgusting little beast. I was like, is this from Trump? But no. The message read, you disgusting little beast. You have nothing better to do with your pathetic life than destroy an 80-year-old man's life. Hopefully you and your family will suffer as you've made others suffer. Okay?
Wow.
So,
disgusting little beast. See, I couldn't get past if that message was sent to me. I don't think I could get past that without just like laughing hysterically.
Exactly.
Disgusting little beast.
So yeah, her name again is Graham Chase Robinson. She's the former longtime assistant of Robert De Niro. She's suing him for $12 million, alleging gender discrimination. Obviously, he denies it. He's countersued for $6 million, claiming that she misused company benefits. Now, there's been a lot of just kind of like this reminds me a little bit of the Depp Heard case where there was just too many details coming out that were awkward and weird and what have you, right? Depp and Heard had the whole pooping on the bed thing. Robert De Niro has this back scratching thing, which is really weird. She claims that she found it creepy when Robert De Niro insisted that she scratch his back. She says it's an example of behavior she found controlling and abusive before she quit her job after 11 years.
That's a long time to be in that kind of environment.
Exactly. Now, he got really mad at her when she was doing it because he was brought up on the stand. And he said he acknowledged that it happened once or twice, but said it was not with lewdness or disrespect. Now,
once or twice. Just, can you itch my back for me right here?
If Lee Hammer, who was our old boss at KGO, came up to me and said, "Hey, Nikki, I got this itch right here. Can you screw you? I'll give you a pencil or a pen. Like you can scratch."
I would itch it. I would walk up and I'd be like,
"You would itch it."
I would itch it.
Ew, that's weird. You shouldn't.
Well, he's got a shirt on. I just itch it.
No, I'm
People
not scratching
itch.
my boss.
I
Yeah, go
always itch. I'm an
wash
itchy
and get a back
person.
scratcher. Are you serious? If your boss asked you
and not
to
he wouldn't
scratch
ask me
his
in
back,
he would not ask me in a sexual way. He was married. We're friendly. If he said, "I got this itch on right in between my shoulder blades, can you just?" If I saw him struggling against a door, and I had seen this
like
before.
a bear against a tree.
Yeah, against the door frame, like trying to itch his back, I'd be, "Turn around. Let's just get in there."
I mean, I
Yes.
just feel like
What
Robert
is
De
it?
Niro is old enough to have a back scratcher or rich enough to have a back scratcher.
If
Like, I
if
don't,
it bothers you, don't scratch the back. If it bothers you, say, that's weird. No, thank you.
I mean, I
If
feel
it
like
doesn't
he'd
bother you,
be,
then get in there and do it. Who
yeah, he was
cares?
very upset about it. He seemed really, really upset that she even brought it up. He claims he screamed at her from court. Shame on you, Chase Robinson. He has apologized for that. Yeah, I think that the idea, especially at this stature, like celebrity stature, where your executive assistant does so much for you, right? Like they're pretty much with you 24/7. I
Right.
feel like the line of professionalism can definitely blur. Spencer, they're both suing each other. The assistant is suing for 12 million, De Niro's suing,
Mhm.
counter suing for
Yeah.
6. So they're suing each other. But the assistant started it, right? I just feel like when you take jobs like this, it's bound to get weird, right? I always feel like it doesn't surprise me that Robert De Niro asked her to scratch his back. Now, if you already feel like your boss is being weird or abusive or overstepping the line, and then you are asked to scratch the back, I could understand, why you're like, okay, it's just getting to a point where I don't feel comfortable. There was also apparently a phone call between the accountant and another assistant. But I will just say this. Do you think, and this is my question, do you think Robert De Niro, similar to other celebrity lawsuits like Johnny Depp and Heard and everything, you think he's going to get any sort of black mark for this lawsuit by his assistant? Because on one hand, I just kind of feel like people don't care anymore unless something becomes sexual, and maybe that's why she was bringing up the back
Well,
scratching.
don't you think, though, if you're in a position of power over a person, that really you have to expect that anything like this that you do may come back to you, and everything, it's exhausting almost how you have to pre-think everything
Right.
as to how it could come back to you,
Yeah, but when
right?
you're with somebody for 11 years, don't you think that kind of goes away? Like, that's what I'm saying about the whole assistant close to you, that sort of thing.
Mhm.
Now, he details how his Robinson, the ex-assistant, had transferred 999,000 air miles that the actor had
Yeah.
to her own account on 4 separate occasions. Now, I could say, oh, well, maybe he wanted me to do that so I could buy things for him. It just gets really weird. I like Robert De Niro as an actor. I don't know if
Mhm.
this is necessarily going to be a black mark on him. I do think that the more he screeches at her and text messages calling her a disgusting creature or whatever, I don't think it's gonna look good for him.
Lori says, I don't see a problem with a fast back scratch or over clothing. If she
Mm.
demurred and he insisted, now that's a different story. Right.
All
If
right.
you say
Okay.
no, I mean, maybe if it's your boss, one could argue, well, if my boss wants me to do this physical thing, somehow I feel
Yes.
compelled to do it.
Right.
If I didn't feel comfortable, I would just say no. No.
Yeah, but that's hard. It's hard.
Eh.
So again, let's go back to our old boss. If your old boss, he's like struggling or he's like, and he's
Yeah.
like scratching my
Hey,
back, and you're like,
making my back
no.
itch.
That's why I would do it. He's like, buy a $3 bamboo back scratcher. They sell them
Uh-huh.
everywhere. Exactly. I'd be like, oh, here, I have the perfect thing for you. And I'd give
Yeah.
him a pen or whatever. I'd be like, I'm not, because that's how the slippery slope starts, right? All of a sudden I'm scratching your back, then I'm scratching something else. Like,
No, no.
thank
You've
you.
you've really escalated that situation.
It
No,
can
absolutely
escalate
not.
very quickly. All right. We have
When
go ahead.
When I worked, I worked in a hospital, and it was a overnight shift. It was a 12-hour overnight shift, and sometimes at about when there was a lull right before change of shift between like 4:30 and maybe 6 in the morning, and people were trying to stay awake, the nurses would walk around and some would give each other back like shoulder massages, chair shoulder
Oh.
massages. And
I didn't
so
know that.
I don't know. I mean, maybe I was just young and naive, but have been asked to, okay, give me a massage or like a
Was it
shoulder massage.
reciprocated?
Yeah.
Well,
I guess
if
now
you're
that I
into
look
the
back on it, maybe
reciprocation-
that was not
exactly. I'm
workplace
like-
appropriate. It was a long time ago,
Well,
but yeah.
I could see. Okay, so let's take it to our like the newsroom, right? We're all sitting
Yeah.
around. It's election night, right? Like long
Right.
nights where you're there all the time, and maybe you're
Right.
like, let's get in a circle and all massage each other's shoulders or something. I could see it being okay. The problem lies if somebody does have a problem and then they feel the pressure that they have to
Yeah,
do it.
that's
And
the
that's why I
thing.
would be like, you know what? I'm not going to scratch your back.
Mhm.
The old scratch my back trick. Exactly. Use the door jam, boss. Get a back scratcher. Use a pen. That's what I would always use. Like I have a pencil.
For the record, Lee Hammer never asked me to scratch
Exactly.
his
No,
back.
no.
No.
But I mean, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not scratching anybody's back, man. That's weird. Vicky says we nurses always
Yeah.
do that. And the medical field, there's just something also about it,
RN Sue says, I always found that weird and uncomfortable when it wasn't requested. Yeah, sometimes I remember, and I was young, I was in my 20s then, and having some like nurse walk up to you, especially a male nurse, and then all
And
of a
just
sudden in the
touch
middle of
you?
the night, they're massaging your
No.
shoulders, and you're like,
No.
I'm working and this is uncomfortable.
Well, that's the
Yeah.
whole thing. Like, and I'm not going to immediately go to inappropriateness, right? I'm not going to
Yeah.
say that they're doing it for an inappropriate reason.
Right.
But
I don't think
again,
they
it's a
were.
slippery slope. It's like, well, she didn't have a problem when I rubbed her back. And then all of a sudden it becomes too low or he grazes the side boob. You know what I mean? Like, then all of a sudden it becomes an issue because you opened that door. So let's not open the doors at all.
If you can't scratch the middle of your back, I think either you're too fat or you got really Tyrannosaurus Rex arms.
Well, or you're just not flexible, right? I mean, there are people that just aren't flexible. Maybe they have had surgery or whatever. I wouldn't say it's either of those things. Some people just can't, their arms don't go that way. Like, can you touch? I can almost touch my fingers on one side, not this side. This side's tighter than this side.
Yeah.
So, I mean, people's bodies are different. I'm not saying
Yeah.
but yeah, I could definitely scratch the middle of my back.
Yeah.
I don't need anybody to scratch my back for me. Although I do like it. I
Yeah.
like it. I like back scratches. Don't get me wrong. But my husband can do that for me.
But don't
know?
walk up to Nikki and start scratching her
Oh
back.
God,
Don't
no. Why
do
are you
it.
touching
No.
me? No. And I would say it too. I'd be like, why are you touching me? Like, that's just weird. Stop it. Stop it already.
Phineas says, when I worked in ortho, I gave the nurses neck massages and it wasn't considered sexual, but this was in the 80s, right? Yeah.
Well,
This was
Phineas-
in the, I would say 90s, and it wasn't considered.
Well, and again, it's not people like you, Phineas. It's people that are in the same field as you that then like take it to the inappropriate level. Like, I always worked in an office where people did this and it was fine. But then you
Yeah.
have one person that ruins it, right? It's like the fly in the ointment.
Eric, oh geez, anyone putting a hand on me is an instant R. Used to have a coworker who would put her hand on my shoulder when I was showing her how to do
Ugh.
something. I had to ask her, please stop. How embarrassing. Because she put her hand on your shoulder to be like, oh, Eric, how do you do? Show me,
Eric,
big
she
man,
might have been
how do you
hitting
do
on
this?
you, man.
She was totally hitting on
yeah,
you.
I think she was hitting on you.
That's body
Uh,
language right there. That's
Yeah, if
like,
you're
yeah.
purposely touching somebody in that way. Now, I
Right.
can understand if you're on a date and you want to show that you're into the person, maybe a brief hand on the knee, a
Yeah.
hand on the shoulder,
Yeah.
those, sorts of things.
on the bicep.
Whatever. Yeah, like the kind of light touching, not
Yeah.
offensive touching,
Do you think
but not
he
at work.
Do you think Eric could have gotten out of that? I mean, I love his direct approach, but I think all it would have
Stop
taken is a
touching me.
shrug. Right? Shrug
Well,
the hand off.
Really?
That says I am not interested. Shrug the hand
Ooh,
off.
interesting. That I don't know. What would no, I kind of feel like the shrug would be how would you do it where it's not as or more offensive than just asking someone to stop?
A shrug says, I'm uncomfortable with this. I want your hand off of my person.
And if they don't,
and then you say, listen,
can you stop touching me?
yeah, I'm uncomfortable with other people's hands on my body. Could you please stop?
I just feel like it matters who the person is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like how I can talk. Because I keep imagining like colleagues that I get along with, but if they touched me and I didn't want them, like their hand on my shoulder or whatever, I'd just be like, what are you doing? Get away. Like kind of make a joke out of it. Like,
Yeah.
Oh,
He
she
said
did
she
it to
did it to
everyone.
everyone.
well, she got around. No, I'm just kidding.
She was like, look at all these hot hunks at
So she
work.
was
I'm
just
just
a
going to
touchy-feely person.
squeeze them all. I'm going to test the samples at the store.
I might make up a story. Be like, you're like, I see that you're a touchy person. I've worked in places where it's just gone like left at, gone wrong.
Yeah.
So I just really subscribe to no touching with colleagues. I'm not saying you mean any harm or whatever, but I don't feel comfortable doing that, I guess. But yeah, a shrug
Walnut
is too
Creek.
passive for some people. Yeah, that's what I was gonna think.
Mm-hmm.
Or it can become really aggressive, which is how I probably would think, like, get off me, But yeah, if it's a friend, like if I went up to you, Kim, and I like gave you a hug from behind, I don't think you'd freak out about it.
No.
But if it was,
I would also, if you said, itch my back right in the middle, I would be like,
yeah, but I feel like we have a different relationship, and we're women, right?
yeah.
Like if it was a man and a woman, and they were
Yeah.
heterosexual kind of thing, like
just so
to
you
say
have
you
hives.
Or you could say something along the lines of, "Oh God, if you start scratching me, I'm going to be itchy." Like how you were just saying, like I'm feeling itchy. Like don't, it's going to get me all itchy or whatever. But again, we shouldn't have to cross that line. Just keep your hands to your damn self. That was going all the way back. Just I'm not scratching your back. You could scratch your own back, and that's it. Yeah, Lady Beatrice I would prefer to be asked, and if I say no, that needs to be respected. Obviously, if it's not,
rather than
somebody's
just
like
having hands
insisting,
come on you,
oh come on, you feel so tight in the shoulders. Yeah, I'm getting tighter as you touch me, and I don't want
You're
you.
stressing me out.
Exactly, stop stretching me out, man. Like, geez, okay.
That's weird how people feel like they just have license to touch other people,
especially if you're pregnant.
Yeah. Oh,
like
yeah.
the whole belly thing. Like I never really minded that much, but unless I didn't like you. And then I became extremely offended. Like I was like, do not touch my belly. This is not. But most people, I would say, I don't know about you, Kim, but do people ask? Like a lot of people were just like, can I? Unless they were women.
Yeah.
Women always touched. I don't know if it was like this. But men, anytime a man was like, hey, can I touch your belly? They'd ask.
I always felt much more strongly about people touching my baby than me.
Oh God,
right?
yes.
Like I was once in this sushi restaurant in Petaluma, and this lady who had just eaten sushi, and she had kind of foodie fingers still, right? She had kind of dirty fingers. Older lady walks right up and grabs my, at that point, he was still really little. Jacob was born early, his feet, and grabs his feet, and it's like, oh, cute little baby, and she's touching his baby feet. The first thing that happens with the baby foot is the baby foot goes
in the mouth, yeah.
And she's touching the hands and touching the feet.
No.
My husband put a little sign on the
good, yeah, don't touch,
that said, please don't touch this baby.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds really rude, but like,
no,
why do people feel they can just walk up and grab a baby? You cannot.
No, I mean, and I can't even imagine. I mean, living through COVID and having a baby, doing all these things, when something is going around. Remember the Zika virus and all that? People were all freaked out. I just feel like once you become a mom, like my rules go. You don't get to argue with me about my kid. Yeah, Vicky, when you're pregnant, it's like open season. People can touch you. Jennifer says, first trimester, this time I was grumpy, almost slapped someone's grandma. Yeah, it's just, just hands off. And that brings us real quickly, just in the last few minutes. Now, you did find out what you were having gender-wise as your kids, correct? I did not. If people are disappointed, do you judge them?
I mean, no, but kind of. So,
so
feel how you want to feel, but I'm going to look at you and think you have, after everything I've seen, after, I would think you don't understand how lucky you are. If your only problem is that you really wanted a X and you're having a Y, whatever, I just feel like there's so many worse problems. When I had, was it Julia? I was in the hospital with Julia, and in the room next door to me, a woman was recovering. Her baby didn't survive.
Oh, God.
And so and I felt so guilty. And here I am celebrating the birth of my baby, and right next door, there's a family in mourning.
Oh, God, no. That's
and
awful.
So when I think about, something superficial, like what gender of baby you're going to have, no.
Well, apparently gender disappointment is really real, though.
Well, I was scared. When I found out I was having a boy, I was scared because I had Julia. I'm a woman. I had a sister. I came from a predominantly female household. I thought, gosh, I'm not going to know what to do with a boy.
Right.
Right. And so I was scared, as we said yesterday, or was it today or yesterday? My days are blurring. Like now having a son, like, oh my
Oh
gosh.
God. Yeah. I
Yeah,
can't imagine not having
yeah,
a son.
yeah.
I had a daughter first. I didn't find out what I was having. And my
Mhm.
best friend also had a girl. So she had her girl 6 months before Marley was born. And then she found out she was pregnant again. And so it was weird. So sadly, she became pregnant, and I decided I'm going to get pregnant again with my second because we wanted to
Mhm.
be pregnant together. Like, why not just do this together? We were very, very close. Unfortunately, she lost the baby that her second baby that she had become pregnant with. I had already become pregnant though. So I was kind of not, I was disappointed and then she became quickly pregnant right after me. And our
Yeah.
boys are 4 months apart. But so we're both pregnant at the same time, but now I'm ahead of her, right? In my pregnancy. But again, I did not find out. She wanted to find out. And she found out that she was having a boy. And in
Mhm.
my mind, even though this is not how anything works, I was like, there's no way we're both going to have girls and then we're both going to have boys. Like, that's just, it's inconceivable. So I really wanted to have a boy because the whole, and I know it's silly, but my husband's line ended with him. Like, he's the last
Mhm.
boy. So if we did not have a boy, that was it. There was going to be no more men of his family line,
Mhm.
which is fine. It happens all the time. It's not the end of the world. But I kind of wanted to continue it. And we were the last hope for it. But I did not in any way, shape, or form think that I was going to have a boy. And so when I had both of my kids, I asked my doctor, I was like, I don't want you saying what it is. I
Mhm.
want my husband to tell me. And I remember it seemed to me to take forever for him to say, like, I know it's out. And I was like, you're like, one. It's like when you honk the horn at a red
Yeah.
light, you're like, yo, let's go. But he was like turned. And then finally he's like, it's a boy. And I swear to God, I had never, besides the relief of no longer having to be delivering a child, the relief of knowing that we had the boy. He's such a good boy. I mean, I never thought I would have a son. You know what I mean? I really thought I was going to have another girl, but, and I love having daughters too. I mean, Marley, my daughter, is such a mini version of myself in
Yeah.
so many freaking ways that it's hilarious. And Dylan is such a mirror of my husband, and he's so sweet. And just be happy with what you get because every kid is so different.
Yeah.
Even though my kids are so similar, they're so different. And it's just it's an adventure. It's awesome, you know.
Some really
and
good text. Anonymous says, my mom wanted a daughter. She got 4 boys.
all they make, yeah.
And then Vicky says, my mom wanted a son and got 4 daughters.
And I always like, I'm not knocking the number, but it's always
Yeah.
like, let's just try for one more, right?
Yeah.
We might get it. And it's just, and it's the man, like, men are can be, not always, obsessed with what the gender is. You're the one that decides it, that you shoot your shot, man. But apparently you just create girls or boys or whatever.
What I've seen a lot
So-
of lately are these videos on whatever reels or coming
Yeah.
through Facebook where you see this line, this pregnant lady says, is it going to be a boy or a girl? And then she'll walk by in her dress and then like 5 girls walk by and then the husband's walking by and then the baby turns out to be another girl or something.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess I don't want to judge people that have 6 children.
Okay.
in-
But she's
in this
going
day
to
and
watch.
age.
She's going to do it.
However,
I am.
like, so here's what I wholeheartedly think,
Okay.
that your number of children that you want to have and your reproductive choices are yours and yours
Of course.
alone.
Absolutely.
But I look at that and I think, why do you need 6 kids? Now I know families that have 6 kids
Uh-huh.
and I can't imagine that family with even one less.
Right.
Right.
Well, of course.
All those kids, those that are now adults that I know,
Right.
they all make up that family. And I can't imagine that family without any one of them. Right. And so maybe I'm just not like part of the people that are on Reel's family, so I don't know them. But I look at that and think, God, I have enough trouble with 2. How do you do that with 6? And why do you need to?
Right. I think that if you come from big families, you have big families.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you're used to it. I mean,
Yeah.
I have a brother and then I have half siblings, but they don't live anywhere near me. So It wasn't exactly the same thing,
Yeah.
but I can't imagine not having a sibling. And then if you have more than one sibling, it's the different relationships and the different dynamics. And, my husband has 2 sisters, and I have never had a sister that lives in my house with me. And I can't imagine, if you grew up with sisters, not having that in your house has to be a change. But again, like you said, and just to kind of put a final point on it, it really just, it doesn't actually matter. And it doesn't, because they all have their own personalities, and it's so much fun. My father had 7. Oh my God. 4 from his first marriage, 3 from his second. My dad has 5 kids, 3 from his first marriage, and then my brother and myself. So I was happy with 2. I will say, even if my son was a girl, I was done. I was never going to try.
Right.
I only wanted 2. I only have 2 hands. There's only 2 of us. We're not going to outnumber ourselves or anything like that. So no.
Did you like being pregnant? Like, would a third pregnancy have killed you?
I had great pregnancies. I
Really?
had great, and the second delivery was easier than the first, but not the actual physical delivery, which was just everything. I had back labor with my first pregnancy for hours on end, and I didn't with my second. But no, and I didn't have a lot of weight to lose. I didn't have any sort of health issues, so that was good. But I wasn't going to have another. I really wasn't going to have another. I was totally done. Natalie says my grandma had 8. The last one was the only girl. My mom. Oh, I
7
love
boys
that.
and a girl. Wow. Yeah.
Oh, she must have been watched over.
Yeah.
I love that story. That's really, really sweet. Okay, that's our show, guys. Tomorrow, we weren't able to get to it. We talk a lot about technology and AI and drones and robots and things like that. I read this story about a robot that I can get behind. Because there's some things I'm like, I don't need a robot to do that. I don't need a robot to drop, prescription drugs and soup from the sky, right? I don't need a drone to do that. But this I can get behind. So I'll tell you what that is. Plus so much more. Before we do that, though, you guys click the thumbs up button to show your support. Thank you to those that donated to our super chat. Of course, Harry was first with the $5. Doug was next with the $5. We do accept super chat donations even during the replay. So if you can donate that way, we appreciate it. Please sign up to be a Medorable. We love all of our Medorables, and we need your support. So go to thenikkimedoroshow.com, sign up for a monthly Patreon. It's just one time a month. Whatever you can afford is a subscription to this show. We would appreciate it. And finally, I'll get something more professional up for tomorrow. But if you want one of the few, and if there's any left, I don't know how many of you are going to buy them today. If you want the Medorable pin that lights up, it's $10. I will ship it personally to you. You have to PayPal me the $10. Go to paypal.com, send money to the Nikki Medoro Show at gmail.com. Include that it's for the pin and your name and address, and I will send it off to you ASAP. All right, stay here for the Mark Thompson Show and the After Party Live. I love you all. Bye-bye.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're proud, like a beautiful blossom. You're all so the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.